are absolutely critical in terms of reducing cybercrime at scale. This is an absolute full contact sport of private sector, public sector working together. So thank you very much to Francis and Security Everywhere for allowing me just to update you on really what's going on in the landscape. So, as I said, my name's Richard. I'm a senior police officer, a detective of many years, and I work within the National Police Chiefs Council's cybercrime portfolio. So I get a little bit of a heads up of what's going on across the UK, particularly in London. And I've been trying to put handcuffs on criminals and serious fraudsters now for many years. And it's, as you can appreciate, it is really challenging. A lot of these fraudsters are overseas, cyber criminals overseas, and they use anonymizing technology. So we are very busy as a network of detectives. But also, I've been a small business owner, so I kind of get the cyber security, information security perspective. It's quite challenging developing your cyber maturity as your business and online digital footprint grows. So that's me. Anyone that wants to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, please do so. And if there's any follow-up questions, I'll certainly take them offline as well. But this is a collaboration between public and private sector. I'm going to talk to you about the Cyber Resilience Centre network, what we are doing to help SMEs become more secure, working with an absolute key level of partners, the managed security service providers and the IT MSPs. They play a critical role in implementing cyber essentials and providing ongoing security services. However, policing are there, stepping up to the mark and offering no-cost cyber services. So I'm going to start with a little story, if I may, just how easy ransomware can land. Now, medium-sized manufacturing company based in Wales. Hybrid operating model, working from home. Individual within the company wants to watch a boxing match that's broadcast from overseas. So downloads streaming software and most importantly, successfully watches that match. However, the following morning takes their laptop into their work environment and connects it to their network. Bad thing was, unfortunately, ransomware then activated and it disrupted 80% of their network. Their data was lost. So that hybrid working model experience caused a major incident that severely impacted both its IT infrastructure and its production capability. There were some significant impacts. The loss of critical business data, including production schedules, order information, and client records. There was significant operational downtime as infected computers and manufacturing equipment became unusable. This halted production of 80% of systems, taking them offline, unable to communicate with automated machinery. Financial and reputational damage due to both loss of productivity and delays in customer fulfillment was significant. And that was just so simple, and that was no phishing involved in that, but there were some significant opportunities that were missed. So this company, with the guidance of its local Cyber Resilience Centre, has identified several key identifiable opportunities to ensure that that never happens again. Firstly, cyber staff awareness training. Regular training sessions to help employees recognise unsafe websites, phishing attempts, and the dangers of streaming or downloading unverified content is an absolute priority. Keeping our staff informed, aware, so they can identify, stop and block is absolutely key. Now, we update our training every couple of times a year, but perhaps I'd ask you how often you actually might receive training. Anti-malware and endpoint protection. Deployment of robust anti-malware and endpoint detection solutions to monitor and automatically block malicious activity were missing, and that's something they can implement. Network segmentation, separating the operational technology, the OT network, from its IT environment to prevent malware from spreading across the production systems and other devices. So they were able to implement segmentation to prevent the spread. And then device monitoring and access control, implementing mandatory security scans for all devices before connecting to internal systems. And then we now form an ongoing relationship between that company and the Cyber Resilience Centre based in Wales, with a view to conduct health checks with them, review internal policies, develop their business continuity plan, promote improved cyber hygiene practices, and actually it's raised that incident. They've recovered from that incident. They have lost some data, but they're doing okay, and they're going to be much more productive in the future and resilient. I will be running a little poll, but just understanding the scale of the problem, first of all, there are some fairly interesting figures on there that's come predominantly out of the cyber breaches survey and also report fraud. But these figures equate to the fact that about 612,000 businesses and 57,000 charities are victims of either breaches or cyber attacks within the last sort of 12 months or extrapolated 12 months, meaning that actually just over 4 in 10 of you are likely to be a victim of a breach or attack in the next future facing 12 months. And that's quite significant. And that 43% rises to 65% if you're a medium company, and it rises again if you're large. If you've been a victim of a cyber crime, there's a 93% chance that you were actually phished. Invoice fraud remains the single biggest fraud type relating to business email compromise. Investment fraud, new data from report fraud shows that UK victims lose 2.4 million a day to investment fraud, much of which is cyber enabled, involves social engineering, spoof platforms, deep fakes, and AI automated bots. So you can see there that ransomware at 38% is still persistent. The cost of the economy at 14.7 billion extrapolated is certainly significant. But cybercrime and fraud altogether constitutes almost a whopping 50% of all of the recorded crime in the UK. So the problem is fairly significant. And actually, we believe in policing that forming relationships with businesses to reduce cybercrime at scale is one of the ways that we can work together to do this. So some of the insights that we see working across sector and with government, that hostile cyber activity in the UK is growing more intense, frequent and sophisticated. This is not just a crime problem, but a national security problem. It affects SMEs and it affects supply chains globally and in the UK as well. And there's some insights in there that you can probably just sort of scan across and take away. But phishing is your big threat that you're likely to face. And when you culminate phishing with perhaps weak controls or missing controls, policies that perhaps aren't as mature as you'd like them to be in the event of an incident, and a lack of staff awareness training, then we are potentially looking at risk to your business. So what I like to do is just start with a poll, and one of my colleagues is going to put up a poll. Hannah, if you could just do that. I'm just going to ask you, first of all, please be honest. Have you heard of the Cyber Resilience Centre? There's a few questions. Yes, you have. You're already registered. Yes, but you're not registered. Or no, this is the first time you've heard about the Cyber Resilience Centre. If you could just pop an answer in there. The Cyber Resilience Centre network has been there for many years, and we have a relationship with many managed service providers across the UK, but we're only month 5 of the government's new funding model, which means that SMEs can access cyber services free of charge. Thank you, Hannah. I'll drop that down and I'll move on to the next slide. It's just quite interesting for us to know about amongst companies we speak to if they've actually heard of the cyber network. So this initiative, we are policing-led, policing-backed, government-funded, and when I say government, this is funded by the Home Office, regionally embedded, but fully business and third sector focus, working to secure the UK economy and make it more resilient to cybercrime and cyber fraud. We offer free cyber support and guidance for all SMEs. Now, you might be asking, what is an SME? If you're less than 250 staff or you don't gross over 20 million, then you are eligible for fully funded cyber services. Even if you fall outside of that, you can still join our cybercrime awareness network and understand the information that we put out to SMEs so you can reflect that to your own supply chains. Most excitingly, we're doing this. We're providing these services through students who are actually in paid full-time education. They come and work for us part-time under the supervision and guidance of qualified cyber practitioners, and they're delivering our services, which I'll speak to in a minute, to gain real-world experience that makes them employable. So there's a lovely sort of ethical, philanthropic perspective to this policing-backed, government-funded, regionally embedded, business-focused initiative, which I'm told we haven't seen this model anywhere else in Europe. So this is really exciting to work with our private sector partners. So what we do is a really cluttered and noisy space out there, and we want to reduce that turnaway point for businesses that might feel actually it's just too complicated landscape. So what we do is we reduce down the noise and we put an SME onto a 16-part journey over a 12-month period to help them understand what actionable steps they can take in a timely manner to improve their journey to a better place of cybersecurity. We guide them to trusted sources of advice, guidance, and make sure that you understand what resources are available to you, such as the National Cybersecurity Centre, which is part of GCHQ. We encourage the government-backed adoption of Cyber Essentials Plus, which is the minimum standard baseline of indicator of being in a good cyber hygiene space for you and your supply chain that you support and supports you. If every node in that supply chain had Cyber Essentials Plus, the UK economy would be much more resilient to cybercrime and cyber fraud. And this isn't just, as I mentioned, about yourself. This is about securing the supply chains that you are part of. Supply chains are incredibly complex and information flows through those supply chains. So joining your regional CRC, as Francis mentioned, there are 9 operating across England and Wales, and we hope to bring online Scotland and Northern Ireland by the end of the financial year. You can access free cyber awareness training. We will have a one-to-one crime prevention discussion tailored to you and your company. We will understand what sector you're in, your growth ambitions, what frameworks you need to adopt, and how some of our services can complement that to make you more secure. We will signpost it to our trusted partners, ensure you get access to our fully funded sources, resources and services, and we will ensure that you get timely threat alerts in for your region, as well as a monthly newsletter to help, where we'll invite you to events that we're doing regionally so we can build that longer term relationship with you. But let's just talk about what these services are for a moment, because that's really key. This is what SMEs can access at no cost. And here they are. The big one for us is the cyber awareness training, because that's where the majority of the risk sits, ensuring your staff are competent to identify, stop and block fraud. But it's not just about awareness. It's also of having some of these technical services. So we will stress test your websites. We will stress test any plugin services that you have with your website. We will conduct effectively what looks like a penetration test, an internal external vulnerability assessment. It's a little bit different because a penetration test might exploit a vulnerability, where what we do is we'll find those vulnerabilities in your infrastructure. We don't fix problems. That's down to the IT teams, your managed security service providers, or yourselves. But we will find the vulnerabilities. We will present them to you in a risk-based report, red, amber, green, and let you know how those cyber criminals might get into your infrastructure, take your money or your data. What actionable steps you can do to digitally secure your estate, lock those digital doors and windows. There's more that we'll do, and you'll see there. We'll do a Microsoft 365 review. Microsoft is secure, but the way we use it and configure it makes it less secure, and criminals know that. We will take where you have a business continuity plan or a security policy, and we'll review those and try and identify any gaps that can help make you more agile and resilient in the event of a really bad day, perhaps when a ransomware attack comes. If you've lost data or you've been a victim of data theft, we'll do that sort of internet discovery and we'll find out what information of yours is out there, what criminals can find out about your company and your staff. And these, as I've mentioned, are delivered at no cost. So what does good look like? Security awareness training. We're moving to a world now with pass keys. We're moving away from passwords that perhaps aren't as fit as for the new threats that are emerging. Creating instant response plans, reviewing and updating relevant policies such as bringing your own device to work from home, testing for vulnerabilities, and some of our services cover that. Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus, that minimum government-backed standard for cyber security is very, very important. And there are frameworks that go beyond this as well. And then understanding some of the key changes in the legal and regulatory landscape. And obviously we have the Cybersecurity and Resilience Bill passing through at the moment. So that's a little bit of what good looks like. How we access these, how can you access these? And importantly, how can any of the SMEs that you work with access these? Well, law enforcement is the only way. Joining your regional cyber resilience centre is the only way that you can access these, so we can report, we monitor, and we can deliver them to the benefit of our students who gain experience. So there's a QR code that will take you to our national postcode finder. You just pop in your postcode for your business. It will find your regional CRC, and you just join that. It's completely free, and then one of our team will reach out to you and we'll have that sort of cybercrime prevention discussion. So we would really welcome you joining the network. We'd welcome you signposting any businesses you work with into our network. This is a brand new initiative you'll be supporting. The government has made money available for SMEs to access, and our students rely on you giving them the opportunity to actually gain work experience or help them get employed. And really important in this conversation are our private sector partners, those that support the ecosystems of SMEs, such as Security Everywhere. So again, perhaps I'll round off with saying thank you very much to Francis and Sheldon for allowing me just to come and give you a bit of an overview of what's new and what's current in cybersecurity from law enforcement, and how we're there to support your business so you're more competitive, that you can grow feeling confident that you'll be more competitive, because some of all these new advanced threats that we're seeing and technology that's developing, such as AI, they still exploit us, the human, who's absolutely key to trade and online transactions. So thank you very much for your time. I think we're going to past. We've got some time for some questions that myself or Francis will happily take. Francis, I hope that's okay, and I'll stop sharing for taking any questions.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. It's